When the world sleeps in silence, there is a moment when your soul stirs. It is not by accident that your eyes open between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. That stillness is not empty. It is full of messages waiting for your awareness. This is not just a random disturbance of your sleep. It is an invitation, a calling, a whisper from the invisible asking you to listen. You see, this sacred window between darkness and dawn holds a different energy. The distractions of the world are at their weakest. No notifications, no noise, just you and something much greater. In that space, you are closest to your truest self. And when your truest self rises to the surface, the divine begins to speak. At 3 a.m., the world is not silent, it is sacred. Most people assume it is just another restless turn in their sleep, a glass of water, a racing thought. But when your eyes open at this hour, something deeper is unfolding. The body may think it's a disturbance, but the soul knows this is a call. You are not waking up by chance. There is a reason, a signal, a stirring from something far beyond your understanding. You may be in the comfort of your bed, but something inside you is being summoned. The question is, will you listen? Or will you roll over and miss the moment your life was quietly inviting you to rise? It's easy to overlook spiritual alignment when it comes disguised as inconvenience. But if you examine closely, you will notice a pattern in your timing, in your thoughts, in the way your body awakens not once, but repeatedly during this sacred window. What if this isn't your mind at all? What if it's your spirit responding to a frequency greater than you? At 3 a.m., the world is asleep, but the unseen world is awake. The distractions are silenced, the noise has faded, and in this quiet, you can finally hear what cannot be spoken during the day. You are not just being awakened, you are being separated from the crowd, from the chaos, from the noise, so that you can finally recognize what is being shown only to you. You were asking for guidance, were you not? Praying for change, seeking clarity, and now, here it is, not arriving through dramatic events, but through stillness, through awakening, through those moments between 3 and 5 a.m. when your soul is most receptive. There is a reason the whisper doesn't come at noon, a reason the nudge doesn't arrive in the middle of your schedule, because transformation doesn't visit when you're distracted. It comes when you are alone, when you are bare, when everything unnecessary is stripped away. At that hour, there is nothing left but you. And the truth, the greatest shifts in life often begin unnoticed, not with thunder, but with a whisper in the dark. You are being summoned not to do, but to become, to notice the change in the atmosphere, to sit up, to breathe, to be still enough that you can feel what's trying to speak. This is not just about sleep. This is about alignment, about recognizing that something divine is choosing this time, not because you're broken, but because you're ready to feel, ready to hear, ready to evolve. And when the world awakens hours later, something in you will already be different. Because while others were sleeping, you were listening. While others ignored the call, you answered. And that changes everything. Between the hours of 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your inner world becomes a quiet chamber, one where your deepest truths can echo without interruption. It's not coincidence that you're stirred from sleep during this time. It is a sacred invitation, and in this invitation lies a message. Something within you is trying to rise. This window of time is not chosen at random. The ancient systems of body, mind, and spirit are deeply attuned to the rhythm of the universe. Just as the tide listens to the moon, your soul listens to the deeper voice of purpose. When that purpose begins to shift, when it prepares to expand, the soul doesn't wait for the noise of the day, it moves when everything is still. So you find yourself awake in the quiet, no alarms, no distractions. Just breathe, pulse, presence, and in this emptiness you feel something, sometimes subtle, sometimes intense. It may be restlessness, it may be clarity, it may be a sensation of lightness or even discomfort. But whatever form it takes, it's a signal not of weakness, but of readiness. You have reached a threshold, The reason you are waking now is not because of fear. It is not anxiety. It is because you are being tuned to a frequency that the daytime cannot carry. The divine often speaks in whispers, and this hour, when the earth is hushed and the mind is calm, is the moment your spirit is most able to receive what is being whispered into your life. You may notice patterns in your thoughts during these early hours. Reflections on your path, memories long buried, desires you forgot you had. These are not random flashes. They are the rearrangement of your internal compass. They are guidance surfacing. They are instruction, not in words, but in awareness. When the mind sleeps, the soul steps forward, and this is what happens between 3 and 5 a.m. You are being allowed to step outside the timeline of distraction and re-enter the path you were meant to walk. But to walk that path, something must first awaken within you. That awakening is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is subtle. It's a breath of insight, a realization you didn't expect, a sudden understanding of what no longer serves you. That is the power of this hour. It shows you what is not seen when you are wide awake and busy. It reveals what is hidden beneath the surface of your daily routine. The truth is, this hour is not just about waking up. It is about waking within. You are not being disturbed. You are being aligned. Something deep within you is adjusting, refining, and expanding. And in this sacred hour, the work is not external. It is internal. Quiet, powerful, lasting. And when the light of day arrives and you step back into your world, you carry with you something new, not loud, but steady, not visible, but strong. And that is how true change begins. The hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. carry more than silence. They carry alignment. When you awaken at this time, it is not simply a disruption of rest, but a shift of frequency. The world around you sleeps, but something within you stirs. This stirring is not random, it is precise, it is timed, it is meaningful. Many overlook the stillness of this window. But what if that stillness is not emptiness? What if it is presence? What if that presence is not outside of you, but within? The soul speaks loudest when the body is quiet, and in these early hours the noise of the world fades, allowing the deeper layers of your being to rise to the surface. You are not merely awake, you are available. In this state, you may begin to feel what you usually ignore. Thoughts become clearer, emotions more pronounced. There is no filter, just raw truth. What you feel at 3 a.m. is often the voice you mute at 3 p.m. But now, in this space of alignment, you can finally hear what is essential. This is where clarity is born, not in chaos, but in quiet. The clarity you seek in books, in mentors, in the noise of conversation, may actually be waiting in the silence of your own awareness. This is not the time to run from what rises, but to witness it, to sit with it, to understand it. For in this witnessing, you no longer live on the surface of your life. You begin to live from the center. There is an intelligence to this hour, a sacred intelligence that doesn't come from the mind, but from presence, a kind of wisdom that doesn't argue, it just knows. And when you listen closely, you realize it's not just about understanding the outer world, it's about understanding your place within it. Alignment is not something you create, it is something you return to. These hours are the gate. You are not lost, you are not broken, you are being brought back to yourself, piece by piece, layer by layer, thought by thought. This is not interruption, it is integration. And in this alignment, decisions become easier, resistance softens, your next step becomes clearer, not because someone tells you, but because your own soul reveals it. The fog begins to lift, not because the world changed, but because you began to see it through aligned eyes. This is the quiet work of becoming whole, the unseen work of transformation, the realignment of your internal compass, and it begins not in grand gestures, but in sacred silence. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the veil is thin. Between what is and what could be, And in that space, if you're willing to be still, the answer will not shout, but it will speak. When you find yourself waking between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is not just your body stirring. It is the unseen world inviting you into awareness. This is not an ordinary time. It is sacred. It is a space between the worlds. In this space, your distractions are gone. The masks you wear throughout the day fall away. What remains is you, only you. And the divine whisper that is often drowned out by the noise of daily life. This is the hour when the noise of the mind becomes easier to observe. Your thoughts do not race. They appear one by one like echoes in an empty room. This is when you can trace their origin. Why does that fear rise? Why does that memory return? Why does that desire burn so deeply in your chest? These are not questions to fear. These are doors, each one leading you closer to the root of your being. Spiritual awakening often begins in discomfort, and waking up at this time is not about restlessness. It's about readiness. There is a shift happening inside of you, a call to look deeper, to go inward, to ask what you've been avoiding, and to see what you've been blind to. But only in stillness can you hear the truth, and only in truth can you become whole. Many people chase purpose, chase success, chase peace, without realizing all of these are already waiting in the quiet corners of their own awareness. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your soul stands at the doorway. If you open it, you may not find immediate answers, but you will begin a dialogue with something eternal, something beyond logic, something deeply alive. This is when the most honest prayers rise, not the ones memorized, but the ones felt, the ones formed in silence. A single breath, full of longing, can reach farther than 1,000 loud demands. This is not about religion. This is about remembrance. Waking during these hours is the soul remembering that it came here for more than just survival. It came to awaken, to embody light, to walk in alignment, to carry something sacred. Use this time not to complain about sleeplessness, but to ask, what am I being shown? What am I being prepared for? In these questions, you will find a teacher, and that teacher lives within. It is not impatient. It does not speak in noise. It waits, and when you become still enough, it speaks, not in sentences, but in awareness. This time is not a burden. It is a blessing disguised as inconvenience. Do not go back to sleep out of habit. Stay awake out of intention. Because between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the universe opens a portal, not to another place, but to the deepest part of you. And if you walk through it, you may never return the same. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., when the world is wrapped in silence and shadows, you are given a gift, time to receive clarity, not the kind that comes from answers, but the kind that arises when questions stop echoing. This hour brings a pause to the usual noise, and within that pause is a mirror. It reflects not what the world sees, but what you truly are. And in that reflection, something essential is revealed. Clarity is not found, it is remembered. When you are shaken awake in this window, it is not always because something is wrong. Sometimes it is because something is about to become right. The pieces within you are shifting. What you thought you wanted is being questioned. What you were chasing is losing its weight. The world outside tells you to plan, to strive, to achieve. But this hour tells you to breathe, to notice, to receive. It does not demand action. It invites alignment. You may have been praying for direction, asking for signs, waiting for movement, and yet the answer doesn't always come in loud miracles. Sometimes it comes in the stillness of this sacred hour. You open your eyes, not to the physical world, but to the world that lives within you. This is where the real answers are, not in more information, but in deeper connection, not in certainty, but in presence. This is the hour when clarity begins to sharpen. The fog lifts, not because it is forced, but because you have become still enough to let it pass. You begin to see what no longer fits, what no longer serves, what no longer reflects the person you are becoming. And just as a mountain becomes visible when the mist dissolves, so too does your next step begin to reveal itself, not in full, but enough for the moment. Clarity is not something you grasp, it's something you allow. When you stop resisting the silence, when you stop fearing the unknown, clarity gently enters, like sunlight creeping through the trees. It doesn't announce itself, but it transforms everything it touches. You don't need to fight for it, you only need to become quiet enough to receive it. So if you find yourself awake during these early hours, don't rush to return to sleep. Listen, breathe, notice something is shifting. Something is aligning, and this time is not empty. It is full of messages, full of truth, full of the clarity you've been seeking, but only those willing to sit with themselves will ever truly receive it. What wakes you between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is not disturbance, but divine invitation. In the silence, in the stillness, something greater is at work, arranging what you thought you needed, realigning you with who you are becoming. These hours are not accidents, they are appointments. The mind may not understand it, but the soul recognizes it. If you remain present, if you listen deeply, you will realize you are not being disturbed. You are being prepared.